Good day and a little bit of bad news right now. You have Florida State winning, so maybe, just maybe, they try to keep my Texas Longhorns out of the playoffs. Hook 'em horns, that better not be the case, but we have real football to look towards, ladies and gentlemen. We have fantasy football we need to be talking about here. We have some injury updates that we covered earlier today, of course. I'll let y'all know if we have any more additional news outside of what we saw early this morning. But as I pulled this up, please, if you have not done so already, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen, you can find that link in the live chat, description, comment section. Promo code FLOCK, get you a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and a Patrick Mahomes special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. Hook 'em horns, my man. Love to see it. Love to see it. And let's go ahead. Let's answer our first question. Coming out from Vince says, 10-team at BBR, 8-4, second place. Hurts, Kyler, Smith, Amari, Higgins, CMC, Montgomery, White, HN, Kincaid. Should we trade Rashad for Ridley? Thanks. Really appreciate you, my friend. Obviously, this is a phenomenal team where, yeah, I mean, we currently are sitting here with more than enough firepower at running back. So I understand why you would want to make a move like this. You can't, though. I mean, please go through and just keep Rachaad White. You have a running back that's getting involved as a receiver. You have a running back that's getting touches on all three downs. I mean, it is going to be very difficult to get away from him here. If you're looking at Ridley, just an extremely volatile option. I understand we need a wide receiver, but I would want someone a lot better if we are trading away Rachaad White. Now, BK Guy says full BBR, pick 3, Olave, Hall, Nico, and Zach Moss. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Chris Olave, Breece Hall, and Zach Moss. Noah Brown looks like he will be playing tomorrow. So while I still think Nico Collins is a great play, I just don't think you're going to be playing him over over Chris Olave. Now, of course, that is operating under the assumption that Olave is playing. Olave has not been cleared from a concussion protocol just yet. I will pull up the injury reports to see if something has changed here, but from what I saw last time, nothing really has. So we will have to continue to monitor tomorrow morning. And if you have no Olave, then you have no option, right? You have to bench Olave out of the 3. Now, Tyrant says, full BBR start 2. Cup, Puka, Tank, Warren. We are to be going with Tank, Dell, and then your call between the Rams wide receivers. If you look at the Underdog pick'ems, they have Cooper Kupp projected higher than Puka. However, at the same time, obviously Kupp's been horrendous. Puka's been phenomenal. So it is very risky if you wanted to go out there and make that call. And looking at some of the best defensive plays, typically what I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to be looking at Las Vegas sportsbooks. I'm going to be trying to find games with massive spreads. I'm going to be trying to find teams that have very low implied team totals. So going over and looking at this, right now you have the Cincinnati Bengals with the lowest implied team total in the NFL at 15 points with a spread of 10 points on this game. So I really do like the idea of playing the Jags defense. Outside of that, you have the Jets with the second lowest implied team total. That's going to be the lowest over-under of any game this week at 16 points. The Bucs defense looks to be in a great spot against the Panthers. The Chargers defense, while it's not super... it doesn't have the track record this season. It does have a great matchup against New England. And then Pittsburgh, great defense. Jets, phenomenal defense this week. Chiefs, good defense this week. And you could also go with the Rams as well if you wanted to go against Joe Flacco, which obviously is interesting. Now, MT says full BBR start Connor or Warren. So it is frustrating not really seeing James Conner have the workload that we wanted last week. I thought Conner was going to get more involved as a receiver. I thought that James Conner could have been a buy low candidate. Now it looks like I was dead wrong. The implied team total is incredibly low as well. I probably still go, I don't know. I'm probably going to go Jalen Warren actually this week. Full BBR format. We know Warren's going to get involved as a receiver. They are about 4.5 point favorites in this game. I'm going to go Jalen Warren until we see James Conner have that rollback. But two-turn Jazz, always happy to see it. Says 10-team BBR need a flex between Amari, Sutton, and Kirk. I'm going to go ahead. I will play Cortland Sutton here. I think we had Christian Kirk ahead of Sutton in our rankings earlier this week. But if you're looking at the underdog pick'ems, they're saying Sutton. And honestly, I think that we probably have to go Sutton as well. So if you look at the splits with and without Zay Jones for Christian Kirk this season, I mean, you have had Kirk as a much better option with no Zay Jones in this offense. Now, I'm sorry. Yes, I know my voice is disgusting. We went out for girlfriend's birthday last night and went to the UFC fight night in Austin. Literally just got back from that like 15 minutes ago. So the voice is shot. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, it was a ton of fun. We had a member of the flock actually get us out there, which was super cool. Let me see if I can show y'all a picture from the fight. Actually, I probably should not throw a picture of him on YouTube without asking him. So that is not a good idea. But Alex got us out there, which was super exciting. Now, let's move this over. Yaniv says, 10-team full BBR single flex, 6-6. Field, Stroud, Bijan, Hall, Brian Robinson, Singletary, Olave, Cup, Higgins, Hollywood, HN, Reed. Who are we going to start? Quarterback, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Stroud, even if Fields has a little more rushing upside. Bijan, Hall, Brian Robinson, Singletary. I'm going to go with Bijan and Hall, despite Hall being in a horrendous offense. Olave, Cup, Higgins, Hollywood. I'm going to be going with Olave and Cup if Olave's good to go. If Olave's not, I'm going to be going with Cup and Hollywood. And then for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we will play Devon Achane if we want a ceiling. If you really want a floor, you could go Devin Singletary. But personally, I'm willing to roll the dice with Achane. I understand that it is a tough spot, of course, with him getting injured his first game back 2 weeks ago. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Kevin says Texas not making the playoffs. I don't know why you got to do us like this. And yeah, if y'all don't know, Florida State just won this game. So Florida State is undefeated. I believe Michigan's about to win as well. Let me double check. Or Michigan already won. They shut out Iowa, which is freaking hilarious. I was watching College Game Day this morning. A couple of people actually picked Iowa to win, which was just laughable. And the spread of the game was like 22.5 points. But yeah, let me know in the live chat. Do you think Texas makes the playoffs here? Does Texas make the playoffs? Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see. As we wait for your responses there. DR says non-PPR for the flex, Mixon or Cup. I'm going to go ahead. I will take Mixon over Cup in a non-PPR. Stevan says start Ford, Higgins, Sutton, or London in the flex. Full BBR format. I do think that we're going to go ahead. We will take Cortland Sutton here, my friend. John says we're not. Buffalo sauce, we have a chance. Looks like most people saying we are not making the playoffs. Yeah, Theo Vaughn was really funny on game day. Funny story with Theo Vaughn. When I lived in Tampa 2 years ago, my girlfriend was at the gym, which was like connected to my apartment complex, and sent me a selfie with Theo Vaughn. Like Theo Vaughn was in town doing a show and just at the gym that we would work out at all the time, came in and got in a workout, and it's pretty good selfie. Pretty good selfie. Now, Shrek says, Brevin Jordan, Trey McBride, or Taysom Hill for tight end. We're going to go Trey McBride, not even close. Trey McBride is healthy, is good to go, and he should have a respectable role in this offense as well. Okay. Now, Lindsay says, happy BR, Dell or Smith. We're going to go Dell. Atlanta or Tampa defense. Hook 'em. Hook 'em, Lindsay. Thank you so much for coming out. And yeah, if you are looking at Atlanta and Tampa's defense, I think you honestly have two phenomenal options here. Tampa right now is sitting at a 3.5-point favorite, where the Panthers have an implied team total of 16.25 points. Obviously, we've seen Bryce Young have a ton of turnovers. We've seen Bryce Young have pick sixes, blah, blah, blah. going over to Atlanta. I mean, they are a 1.5 favorite over the Jets. The Jets offense has very little upside. I don't know. I mean, I think both options are fine. I don't think that you can go wrong with either one. Honestly, I think it's up to you. I think both options are great. Now, G. Medina says, Sup Mason, happy BR. Bench 2 running backs this week. Bijan, Etienne, Moss, Pacheco, Montgomery. For sure going to bench Montgomery out of this list. We lost Schultz. Do we try T. Hill or a tight end off the waiver such as Jordan, Jawan, Everett, Higbee? I'm going to go Taysom here, especially with all the injuries that you have. You have no Michael Thomas. You have no Shaheed. You possibly have no Olave. And we're for sure going to bench Pacheco. And then out of Bijan, Etienne, Moss, Montgomery. Probably Montgomery, as painful as it is to say. Probably Montgomery. The speed attack says Montgomery or Mixon rest of season, full BBR format. I'm going to go Montgomery over Mixon rest of season here. Andrew says, Hollywood or Samuel, we need the higher ceiling. If this is Deebo Samuel, we're going to go Deebo Samuel. I mean, with Deebo Samuel, you do have a very low floor from week-to-week perspective because there are just so many more weapons and he is going to have a smaller percentage of his offense than what you would have with like Hollywood Brown in Arizona, of course. But because the offense is going to be so much better, I mean, you are going to have a higher ceiling from week-to-week perspective, particularly with touchdowns. Two-Turn Jazz coming out says, flex spot, Warren, Kirk, or Amari. We're not going to go Amari, that's for damn sure. It's either going to be between Warren and Kirk here. Honestly, I think you can kind of go either way. I do think that it's up to you. God, what are we doing? If it is a full BBR format, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take Kirk. I mean, Kirk does give you a relatively nice floor, even if you do have him as a worse option with Zay Jones good to go. Now, number one Stunnis says, need a wide receiver 2, full BBR. Rice, Deontay, Reed, Higgins. I'm leaning Rice, but we have the Mahomes-Kelsey stack already. Is it smart to roll with more of the Chiefs offense? To be honest with you, I would not be too worried about that. Maybe in a different offense, then yes. So, I don't know. I mean, if you wanted to go Deontay over Rice, you can with Deontay having a great matchup. But I'm not too worried about the Chiefs offense just absolutely imploding. The only thing I'd be worried about is if Kadarius Toney is good to go, maybe the snaps go down for Rashee Rice just a bit. And obviously, this is a player that earlier in the season wasn't productive because the snaps weren't there for him. We're not going to go Reed or Higgins, though. It's either Rice or Deontay. Narl says, Allen on bye, we need a quarterback. Top 3 on waivers are Baker, Love, Carr. Thoughts on who should pick up? Okay. Baker, Love, Carr. I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Baker here. Carr has no weapons left. Love is a tough matchup. I mean, we've seen the production from Baker. My only hesitation with Baker, of course, is going up against Carolina. You don't really have shootout potential. We kind of already understand what it's going to be. This is going to be that spot where, I mean, you are stuck with them running the ball in the fourth quarter, at least most likely, right? I mean, I guess they're only 3.5-point favorites. Now, Will says, Russ or Trevor Lawrence. We have Ridley and Etienne, so all the Jags are risky. I'm a Jags fan, though, and going to the game on Monday. Then we're going to go Lawrence, my man. Ride that high. I mean, we're going to go Lawrence no matter what in reality. But, yeah, have fun, my friend, at the game. And, I mean, it'll be more fun knowing that you're triple down on that Jags offense. Bad Bad Gaming says, full BBR pick 3, Godwin, Watson, Dortch, and Samuel. So, obviously, everybody's out here in Arizona, but I'm not playing Greg Dortch, my man. I'm going to go Godwin, Watson, Samuel. The only way I would not play, the only way I would play Dortch is if we have no Hollywood. If we have no Hollywood and we have no Michael Wilson, then you can go Greg Dortch over Curtis Samuel. But I'm planning on benching Dortch if Hollywood's good to go. Matthias says, happy BR for the flex. Pickens, Algier, Dotson, or Romeo Dobbs. We're going to go ahead. We will take George Pickens with this offense, just looking a little bit better with the change in offensive coordinator. Now, I will say, I mean, if you really wanted to go through and if you really wanted to play Romeo Dobbs, you can if you have no Jaden Reed. That'll be something to continue to monitor. Michael says, Superflex start to Kirk, Downs, Singletary, and Tim Boyle. Ooh. We're going to go Tim Boyle, as gross as it is. We're going to go Tim Boyle and Devin Singletary here, my friend. Yeah, that is gross. Joshua says, Montgomery, Smith, Puka. We need a flex in a half PPR format. So you have no Dallas Goedert. That's going to be good for Devonta Smith, just seeing a few more targets in this offense. It's a half PPR format, however, so you probably want to bump the running back just a bit, and Smith does have a very tough matchup going up against the Niners. So given the matchup that he has going up against San Fran, I'm probably just going to go ahead. I will play David Montgomery here, my friend. Now, William says, full BBR double flex. We got to pick one. Puka, Frymuth, and Amari. I'm going to go ahead. I will take Puka relatively easily over these guys. The Notorious One says, which tight end should we drop? Goddard, Frymuth, or Kincaid? Knowing that we need to have someone this week, we can't really drop Frymuth, right? I mean, if we drop Frymuth, then we were taking a 0 this week. So if we had to drop someone tonight, it's probably Dallas Goedert. And Dallas Goedert was my most drafted player on Underdog this year, so it's painful to say that. However, if you're talking about like dropping after this week, like dropping on next Tuesday, once we already get to start Pat Frymuth, then I'll drop Frymuth and keep Goddard and Kincaid. Andrew says, Samuel or Hollywood PPR? Thank you, my friend. If Hollywood plays, we're going to go ahead. We will take Hollywood Brown over Curtis Samuel. Speedy says, 10 team non-PPR, Keenan, Ridley, Kyron, HN, Ingram, McBride, Warren Ford, start sit decision. So non-PPR format running backs will get a bump for that flex spot. Wide receiver, assuming Keenan's good to go, we're going to go Keenan and Calvin Ridley. Tight end, we will go Trey McBride. Running back, we're going to go Kyron Williams, Devon Achane. And then for the flex, it's an interesting spot with this being a non-PBR format. We probably go Jalen Warren still. I mean, I think you just have maybe more points scored in Pittsburgh than what you're going to be looking at in a Joe Flacco offense. Jeep Guy, happy to see us, says playoff bound in all 3 leagues. Hell yes, my man. Happy for you. Hopefully you're able to take down the Flock Mod League. Just don't tell anybody else to said that. No, wishing you the best of luck, my friend. Happy to see you. Now, Uncommon Sense says 10 team PBR sit 1. Bijan, Eckler, AJ Brown, Pittman, Tank Dell. Ooh. Michael Pittman currently has an underdog pick him ahead of Tank Dell. They have Pittman at 72.5 receiving yards. They have Tank Dell only at 64.5. So if you're looking at the projections here, they would tell you to go ahead and sit Tank Dell. And I kind of want to tell you to do that as well, considering the fact that Michael Pittman Jr. is one of my most drafted players this year. And I sadly do not have much Tank Dell at all, which I obviously wish I did. But I do think that, honestly, probably a little bit too low on Tank Dell with the projections. I wouldn't even mind if you wanted to go more than 64.5 receiving yards. And you probably go ahead and bench Michael Pittman. It's tough, though. Now, Juan says, traded Connor and Amari for Garrett Wilson, and then JT got surgery. Pray for me. We're starting A.J. Dillon. Oh, my gosh, my friend. I'll send up some prayers for that. That's brutal. That's brutal. Hopefully we're locked into the playoffs and we do get JT back. I mean, JT was my most drafted running back, so prayers up we get JT back soon. Yes, sir says, Frymuth or Taysom? Full BBR format, I'm not a big fan of Taysom, but I'll say if you have no Olave, no Shaheed, no Michael Thomas in this game, probably just say you have to play Taysom. Quarterback, Russ, Gardner, Carr, or Stafford. I'm going to go ahead. I'll play Gardner Minshew. Really like the matchup. Really like the spot for him. Like the implied team total for Indy as well. Now, Hanoi says, have BBR, Ridley, Dell, Stevenson, Swift. Started receiver and a flex. We're going to go Dell at wide receiver. And between Stevenson, Swift for you at the flex spot, I think it will be up to you. 99% of the time, I will be going with DeAndre Swift. Just a really tough matchup for him going up against San Fran. But please bench Calvin Ridley. Nicholas says Juwan or Brevin Jordan. I'm going to go Juwan with all the injuries that we have in New Orleans. And then Watson or Dortch. We're going to go ahead. We will take Watson over Dortch. Watson over Dortch. Donnie says we got to sit one, Moss, Ridley, or Puka. I will bench Calvin Ridley. I understand Ridley has been great as of late. Calvin Ridley is extremely volatile. I am kind of viewing him as a rich man's Gabriel Davis, where when he's on your bench, he's going to be dropping 1 million points. When he's in your lineup, he's going to be making you pull your hair out. I'm not super pumped about it. Josh says, which 3 running backs? Kyren, Kamara, Bijan, and Moss. I'm going to be operating under the assumption that this is a full PPR formats. And if it is a full PPR league, I think we probably have to go Bijan, Kamara, and then probably Kyren over Moss until we at least get, I don't know. I mean, I have Moss and Kyren ranked pretty much back to back. I have both as top 10 running backs this week, so it's painful to have to sit anybody here. But maybe we bench Moss. It's tough. Obviously, crushed Tennessee this past week. Not this past week, earlier in the year. Mike says, standard pick 2 running backs, Henry, Achane, Stevenson. We're going to go ahead. We will take Henry and Stevenson in a standard league. We can at least wait to see what Achane gets us there. And then wide receivers between Keenan, Puka, and Amari, we're going to be going Keenan and Puka. And if we needed to flex, we're going to go with the third RB. Jason, happy to see us, says CMC with Dearness for RB2 off waivers. We can grab Jeff Wilson or Freeman. So if you're like not a team with Travis Etienne and you're saying, well, I'm going to play it on Etienne, but if he's not good to go, I need a backup. Then yeah, let's go with the Dearness Johnson play. But if it's like, no, I don't have Travis Etienne, I just am desperate for an RB2, then there's no way I'm planning on going with Dearness Johnson when it looks like Etienne's most likely going to play. So I don't know. I'm sorry, my friend. I'm trying to think because the thing is you can't go Jeff Wilson either with Achane back in. Royce has literally no upside. I guess you just plan on going Dearness because nobody's excited and nobody's exciting and maybe Etienne misses, just maybe. Really, it's like the only hope you have there. Now, Sobsnell says, starting 4 receivers in a full PPR. We have Ridley, Kupp, Rice, Downs. On the bench, we have Thielen. I would go Thielen over Downs. Worried about a potential breakout for Thielen, or am I overthinking it? I think you are overthinking it. I think you just go ahead. I think that you just plug in Adam Thielen based off the larger sample that we have. Now, trust me, I drafted so much Josh Downs this year where I am really hoping that Josh Downs comes out here and smokes Adam Thielen. That is just probably not realistic, right? So I think you probably have to go through and probably have to take Thielen. Nathaniel says, full BBR pick 3, Chase, Smith, Dell, Kirk. We're going to go Dell and Smith. Chase would have been easy for me if you had no T. Higgins. Now it is a tougher call that T. Higgins is going to be playing this week. We still probably go through and play Jamar Chase, though. Still probably play Chase. Derek says, 10-team at BBR. Njoku or McBride, assuming healthy. We will go with Trey McBride. And if McBride is healthy, he's going to be good to go. Sal says, full BBR Pitts or Conklin or I will go Kyle Pitts, even if it's disgusting. If you look at the play of Jonnu's actually being removed from this offense. But even with Jonnu, like being at the very bottom of his season last week in snaps played, it is kind of brutal in that Kyle Pitts did still only have 2 targets. Jacob says full BBR, HN or Warren. Opponent has CeeDee Lamb. If I win, I'm in. I'm going to go HN over Warren. I mean, obviously Warren has a higher floor. HN has a higher ceiling. I just think that the Miami Dolphins offense supposed to score the most points this week in the NFL, according to Vegas. We've seen the elite ceiling from HN before. And Jalen Warren for sure split in the backfield 50-50. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. Alberto says that Mostert, HN, Singletary, Puka, we have to sit too. I know it's crazy. I just kind of want to play both Miami backs. You're going up against Washington. So it's one of the best matchups you could ask for. Like we said, Vegas is telling us the Dolphins will be the best offense in the NFL this week. HN's averaging 20.5 points per game. Mostert's averaging 18.5 points per game. So, I don't know. I know it's crazy, but I want to play both running backs. In reality, if it's a full PPR format, though, you probably need to play Puka and then your favorite running back between the two. Craig says Herbert or Stroud, especially with the injury that you have to Keenan. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to take Stroud. Potsdam says we have Chase, Smith, Kirk, Rice. Not confident in Chase anymore. Should we bench it for Rice? Opponent starting Browning, and I'm up 32 points. Okay, so we're smoking this guy. If your opponent's starting Browning, I'm just going to go ahead. If we're up 32 points, let's just take Jamar Chase and remove any upside your opponent has. I mean, Chase only at 59.5 total yards for his underdog pick'em, but Rashee Rice is only at like 49.5 receiving yards. I still probably go Chase, even if we're less excited about Chase with Higgins being good to go. Now, Magenta, same embarrassing mistake I made yesterday. Puka, Kirk, Dell, AJ, Swift, pick 3. We're going to go ahead. We will take AJ, Dell, and Swift, despite Swift having the disgusting matchup. And then Herbert or Purdy. If Keenan plays, we'll go ahead and we'll take Justin Herbert. If you have no Keenan Allen, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know if we can start Justin Herbert. Even if Herbert's been phenomenal this season, averaging about 20.5 points per game. You remove Keenan, all of a sudden, I mean, he has no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. It may get ugly quick, but I do expect that Keenan should play. We'll get more news tomorrow. Now, Shellback says, playoff bound, single flex. Who are you making sure plays? CMC, obviously, but Swift, Mostert, HN, or Singletary. It's just so damn tough with this matchup that Swift has going up against the Niners. I probably still go with DeAndre Swift because we at least know what the workload looks like, right? Whereas if you're looking at the Miami guys, well, I'm completely fine starting these Miami guys at the same time. I mean, ultimately, it is a little bit more questionable with the committee and how they're going to break down touches. Soul Assassin says, full BBR Moss or Singletary. Also, we need to stream a tight end, Hawkinson on bye. We can either go Everett, Henry, Hudson, Higbee, Pitts. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I think we're going to go with Gerald Everett if Keenan Allen misses. If Keenan Allen plays, I'll probably go ahead and just take Kyle Pitts, but not feel good about it. And then we will for sure go Zach Moss. If you look at the underdog pick'ems this week, they have Zach Moss currently as the second highest player in the projections in all of fantasy football this week. The only guy that has a higher projection than 98.5 total yards on underdog this week is Christian McCaffrey. Now, for that reason, I'm probably saying we should take the fewer than 98.5 total yards on underdog. But at the same time, I mean, while last week we took the fewer than 71.5 total yards on, say, Flowers, which we hit on that. Let me flex, y'all. I'll flex on y'all. We did say if underdog's going to project and be that high, you probably have to go through and start him, right? So we started Zay Flowers the last week only because these underdog pick'ems. And I think we have to rank Zach Moss as a borderline top 5 running back, primarily because these projections here. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those underdog pick'ems, promo code FLOCK, link in the live chat, description, comment section. It'll match your first deposit, dollar for dollar, up to 100. Plus, you'll get our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, a Patrick Mahomes special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard with code FLOCK. But Chris saying, 10-team full BBR. Should we play Pickens over London? And who should we pick up, Juwan Johnson or Greg Dortch? Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, my friend. I wouldn't pick up either of these guys. I mean, if you really wanted to go pick up someone for tight end, I guess you could go Juwan with everybody being injured in New Orleans. And then between Pickens, London, I'm probably going to go ahead and take Pickens this week, just with London having the worst matchup imaginable going up against the Jets. Will says, sit one, Smith, Waddle, Puka, and Collins. I'm going to go Puka, but it's close between Puka and Collins now that Noah Brown's good to go. Now, the day's full says full BBR McBride or Greg Dortch. I will go with Trey McBride, my friend. Even though typically, obviously, we don't want to start tight ends typically, but still. Roy says bench one Cup, Chase, Javonte, Achane, full PPR format. Ooh. Chase is supposed to be in the worst offense in the NFL this week. Now you have T. Higgins good to go. I think we can just say let's not play Cooper Kupp until we see otherwise, at least in this range. I mean, all these players have a high ceiling, just like Kupp. All of them have a very low floor, but Kupp has consistently shown how low his floor is over the past 5 weeks. Russell says, is there a way I sit Hurts for Lawrence this week? Also, if we play Hurts, do I stream a defense? We had the Niners defense. Never bench your defense because, oh my gosh, my defense is going up against the receiver. My defense is going up against no, I mean, you play the best plays regardless. Just play the highest median projections. Obviously, if it was like a Monday night game and you can calculate and say, oh, I need 6 points, then at that point, we can take that into consideration. But if it's just at the beginning of Sunday, you just want to play the best plays. And then if you're looking at what we have here with the quarterbacks, if it was a 6-point passing touchdown format, I think possibly you could go through and you could go Lawrence over Hurts. The issue is also with Lawrence, I mean, they're just not going to have to throw the ball. So I think you have to go through. You have to play Jalen Hurts just based off rushing upside, right? I mean, this is about the worst matchup you could possibly ask for, though. And Vegas is telling us that the Eagles are going to struggle in a pretty big way here. But I think that should be it. Y'all can tell my voice is shot, so I'm going to try to go to bed so we can wake up early at the Crack It On tomorrow and answer as many of your questions as we possibly can. So please, if you have not already, subscribe, hit that like button. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems for the games tomorrow, show you a couple of my favorites. One of my favorites is over in Miami. I like Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown in a great matchup against Washington. And then also in a good matchup on the other end of the spectrum, I do like Najee Harris to not score a touchdown and come back down to earth just a bit going up against Arizona. So I'm going to go Tyreek to score a touchdown, Najee to not score a touchdown. And also pair those up with Patrick Mahomes more than less than half a total yard. We're going to go more than there. Promo good Flock, we get 100% a positive match plus that special pick'em and our rest of season rankings. Just real quick, we have a couple more. Victoria says, start to Warren, Mostert, Gibbs, Montgomery. We are going to be going with Gibbs and Montgomery. Bidmoon says Stevenson or Singletary. We're going to go Stevenson. Jason says, thank you, 10 Deep Superflex Dynasty with super deep benches made the playoffs. 5 starters out, Del McLaurin, Rice, and a flex. Samuel Mingo, I'll tell you right now, in a lot of my Dynasty teams, my friend, I have way worse options starting than this in the flex this week. But nonetheless, we will go ahead. We will take Curtis Samuel. I don't think you have to feel bad at all about starting those options in a deep Dynasty league at the flex spot this week with all the buys. But thank you again. Really do appreciate all of y'all. Really hope that you have a great night, and I get to see you before the games tomorrow morning.